please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll have an opening prayer. If everyone would please bow their heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to gather together this evening to take care of the business of our city. We thank and praise you for the changes in the season, and we pray that you watch over the activities of this meeting, that they may be pleasing to you. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. Okay, we have the reading and approval of the minutes for October 17th.
Move to suspend the reading.
Okay, we have a motion to suspend the meeting from Weidrich.
Second.
Second by Stern. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. All right, let's take a look at the agenda. Are there any additions to the agenda for this evening?
None.
Hearing none, I'd be looking for a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion by Weidrich.
Second.
Second by Stern. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, agenda is set. We'll jump right into our engineer's report. You're there this evening?
Yes, sir. Can you see me?
All right.
Okay, so good evening, folks. Here for the report. Everybody should have a copy that was sent out, I think. But generally, I'm going to go through projects informal, so stop me as you have questions or concerns or whatever. But as far as the water project goes, we're generally wrapping things up. Ken is making a connection up at the water tank here right now, kind of as we speak. I would say by tomorrow, they'll be done backfilling. The only thing they haven't really done is there's some seeding and mulching right where they're working right now. Otherwise, they did get things generally seeded and restored in all the other parts of town. They had a sub come in and do that work. So I'm not positive if we'll get snow melting and still get those areas seeded, or if that'll be in the springtime. Generally, the way these projects work, though, is we wrap them up, we'll make final payments, and that begins the one-year warranty period. If they don't get work done, we'll probably end up holding money until the springtime, which in this case, on this project, I could probably see us doing that anyways. We have 3 general contractors up there. We have the tank contractor, we have an electrician, and then we have TAND. At least one of these phases, we always have money to spend at the end of these projects. You guys could give it back if you want to, or you could stop work. But I know there's a few things that we've kind of talked about doing. We've gotten some quotes, and you guys have got to make a decision to do them or not. Hazen doesn't always come by grant money very easy. We have a 60% grant on this project. So generally, as we add stuff, we do more hydrants, we do things like that, we can get the cost share involved. So you guys have to make a decision, but I don't see us closing this project just quite yet. I think we'll probably drag our feet at least for a few months here, even though we can't do any construction work in the winter time. Springtime is a good time to wrap up some of those things. So, as far as the work that's going on, I got a rundown from John today. Backfilling and leveling up by the tank is done. Like I mentioned, TAND was making some water main connections. We've had a number of leaks in the system, as you guys are probably aware. We hooked up the new water tower on Monday morning, and this week we have about 5 water main leaks in town. And that was generally, I don't know if I'd say expected, but we're not surprised that happened. With the new water tank, it's about 40 feet taller than the old tank. And so what that means, you've got about 20 pounds more pressure. Water systems like yours have to be between 35 and 85 psi, and your system previously was on the very bottom end of that. In fact, we had a lot of parts of town that were in the 20s. So this tank corrected those problems, but what that does then, usually it's like a car, when wintertime hits, it finds the weak spots. And so the leaks I think that we've dug up and experienced have all been rusted out saddles or bolts on valves or whatever that were, I don't know if they were going to last a day or a year or 10 years, but they were all in poor shape. That is what we found so far. I think we fixed 4 of those 5.
Yeah,
One
would be tomorrow.
One left to fix, but they've got shut off right now. But that's what's going on. TAN didn't necessarily have time to do those, so you guys had Sletton do them, and the plan is to run those through TAN's contract with the financing. So, any questions? I have some photos of those, I think, attached to the report, but I don't have photos of all of them. I was just getting some of the extra photos from Dave's phone there when those occurred. It's generally page 2. I think I have 3 locations there. And Dave, you'll have to correct me, but like one of them was a saddle for the bank, and there's a
The saddle was north of 200. The bank was the corporation.
Yeah. And we've got parts laying here, I think, in the city office. So it's unfortunate, but it's not unexpected. We did talk about it during our construction meetings coming up for the last maybe month, and I think we did do a public notice to let people know that it was probably going to happen. Thankfully, we didn't have any flooded basements or anything like that, at least yet. But that's what happens, I guess. So, any questions, concerns, comments at this point? Yeah, Casey, go ahead.
I was just curious, that water tank, I guess, leak.
Oh, okay.
I never did hear anything more about it.
Okay, so Grant was at the last meeting. I was not here. And I'm going to back up just a hair, because when we build concrete tanks, there's 2 styles of tanks that we build. If you guys remember, when we open bids, there's a cast-in-place concrete tank, and then there's a pre-stressed concrete tank. And we had to allow both so we could get some bids on this. We went with the pre-stressed concrete tank. The benefit of that is that we only have 1 cold joint on this tank, and that's right at the bottom. So they build a foundation, and then we have a cold joint around the bottom, and that's where we put the water stop, and that's where we get leaks. When we have a cast-in-place concrete tank, a lot of times there's a cold joint at the bottom, and then at 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet, so then we end up dealing with more. So we went with the more expensive. No, was it more expensive? It wasn't more expensive.
I think it was cheaper.
It might have been cheaper, actually.
Yeah.
And we kind of think of the pre-stressed as the Cadillac of the tank. So, but that's where we always get leaks. And Grant wasn't aware of that when he came to the meeting last week, but I talked to John, and John had already identified it as a leaking spot, and the spec says exactly what they're supposed to do when we have leaks. So we form in a water stop and pour around it. What they have to do is they have to inject whatever the compound is around it, and then they have to redo their pressure tests and let it leak, or let it sit for 72 hours or whatever the spec calls for, and then they did pass that. So, and then what we do is we backfill around that. There's about 2 feet of dirt now around that foundation, but we did follow the procedure and make it sit for as long as it was supposed to. That backfill is just for stability out there. So yes, that has been addressed and taken care of. Yep. Good. I have a leaking tank in Lemoore right now where we have cold joints at those spots, and it's a disaster. So I am happy with the pre-stressed concrete tank. We only have 1 of those joints to deal with. And we will do another evaluation before the 1-year warranty is up and make sure it's not leaking.
So then the pre-stressed, it wasn't those installed in Like a 10-foot tall
No, what we
ring or
did,
something? Or-
no, what we did was think of it as a circle. It's not really a circle, but we built the panels on the ground and then stood them up with a crane. And then we do the pre-stress, which is the wire or the cabling that goes around them. So it's just different. With the cast in place, we build it like a basement. We just kind of go up. But this is just built differently. So we
So
don't
in the
have,
vertical,
we have vertical seams in
they're
it,
vertical seams, okay.
but then we,
And, yeah, there's the wire and then shot concrete over that, you have two.
just different style.
Yeah.
Luckily, we didn't have to deal with them being the not low bidder. I think you're right, I think they were the low bidder, and that's what we prefer. Yeah. So I don't have any payments for anybody. Normally we do the payments at the meeting in 2 weeks. I was just here to give an update. I guess Grant noted we do have some fencing and some miscellaneous other things left to do, so with things freezing, I don't see us wrapping up. Well, maybe we will, maybe they'll still get them done here, but there's a chance it'll linger to the springtime, which we're fine with, and I think you guys should be too, because we might have some things to tack on. Any questions before we move on? Go ahead, Dan.
Will we be doing the slate and bill approvals at this time? Or are we gonna let more submit those through the system first?
I did put them in their packet for approval tonight, but I guess I'll leave that up to Jared.
You talking about the water main leaks?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would approve them, and then I will seek cost share for them.
Okay.
I don't,
So we'll just take care of that at the end of the meeting, Monty?
Yes.
Very good.
I'm going to submit them for the cost share, like we always do. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be covered. 60% cost share, and they should be eligible expenses, but I can't promise anything, but everything else we've submitted and hasn't been questioned.
All right, do we have any additional questions for Jared this evening?
Dan, I have just a couple.
Thanks, Jared.
I have a couple quick things if I can. Grant was here the last 2 weeks, so we're talking about the PAR grant. The program I'm hearing is considering capping the televising at $50,000. I don't know if we can get the entire town televised. I don't know if you guys remember or not, but they're using some of their funds. So we did finalize a few things with Dave and the guys on your sewer maps, so I should have those quotes for you at the next meeting to clean and televise, and then we'll get the agreement from the health department that says they pay for it. But you would have to decide then if it's $75,000 to televise the whole system. If you only want to do the 50, you can, but that could be an upcoming thing you gotta decide on. And then I guess the concrete paving was finished behind the alley. All I've done is a drive-through of it. Seems to be in order. I know they still have cones out there, but I would imagine that we'll have to do a final walkthrough, make sure that everything was sealed the way it was supposed to. But otherwise, just staying in touch with Brad, the attorney for Williams Building Company on Expedition Estates, and from the last correspondence I had with them, they were negotiating with a Fargo contractor now to have that stuff corrected, and that they were intending to start in the springtime. I don't have anything written or on paper. That's just, I'm passing along the information that I've got. So that's it, Dan.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, next we have a general update for Sakakawea Medical Center. I'm assuming Mr. Williams, you're here to represent the hospital?
Yes, I am. So I apologize. This is the first time since COVID that we've been able to come and do an annual report or semi-annual report. So hopefully we'll have the opportunity to do more of these. I am Brian Williams, the CEO. I've been there since November of 2020. And it has been an awesome experience thus far being here in Mercer County. So a little bit about COVID right now. We don't really have anything going on with COVID. We are testing some people there positive, but we're not seeing a run on the hospitals right now like we were at one point. Do we get some people that have it as a secondary or something? Yeah, but we're not seeing that big respiratory push we saw late 20, early 21 through mid 21. So we're grateful for that. But that does go into some things. We don't know what the future brings. As you guys know, we built the hospital 5 years ago, and we built 2 negative pressure rooms, and we're like, we will never need these. Well, we do. So we're actually in the process now of working with a company to get some more negative pressure rooms down there on the floor. So we're looking forward to having that hopefully done the first quarter of next year. So some other things we're doing is I've been contacted, had Buster and some other people. We just had a strategic planning between SMC, Coal Country, and KRCC. And we talked about a lot of the things that our community talks about, Mercer County Economic Development, Beulah and Hazen. So you will see us probably working with you, especially when it comes to recruiting individuals to our community as we continue to look for clinical staff to come into our community. I know housing is always an issue, right? So we'll be working with the different municipalities to figure out what we can do on our part to be part of the solution and not just wait for everybody else to do that. Something else we're doing is we're also expanding our behavioral health. Between Coal Country and SMC, we know that there's a big need for some of those behavioral health things. So you're going to be seeing expansion. We are now currently in all 4 school districts, Killdeer, Center, Hazen, and Beulah school districts with school counselors. We're hoping to expand that a little bit more and provide a little bit more for these young men and young women. We're also looking at a joint collaboration between Coal Country, SMC, Hazen, and Beulah school districts to put in a school nurse, which would be funded by Coal Country Community Health Center. That would be utilized by both school districts for some of those incidental things that occur for some of those kids. That just offers another layer of preventative care. So they'll do a lot of education. They'll also take care of those incidental things. Tommy's got a headache, Bob needs his asthma medicine, that kind of stuff. So we're going to help out with that. Both school districts are very excited to have that. It's something that they haven't had in quite a while. So we think that'll be an added plus for our community. Some other things we're doing is at Coal Country, we are doing some construction. We received a grant from HRSA. We're building out some of our Beulah clinic. As you know, that was rebuilt just in the last 2 or 3 years. With COVID, we noticed there was a couple things we need to do. We're going to add some negative pressure rooms in the Beulah clinic, but also we're adding some more office space, and we're also doing some soundproofing between some offices just to make sure that when providers meet with patients, you have that confidentiality. So, and with that, we're also in the center clinic. We're doing a very big facelift out there. So at one point, we did purchase that building early 2021. And so the goal now is to make that clinic more accessible to our patients and make it nicer. So we're going through and we're spending quite a bit of money to rejuvenate that building to make it look nice again, but also to make it functional, not only for the staff, but also for the patients. We're putting in a much better lab area that's expanded so that we have a lab tech that can actually work out there more full time. We're going to be adding 2 more patient rooms so providers can see patients, and we're going to make it a little bit nicer than what it is. So one of the things that you guys might be hearing a lot about is, especially in our community, is we have people that are coming to SMC that, whether it be a heart attack, whether it be a stroke, whether it be something like that, something that's above what we do. We do primary care. If it's a specialty like that, our job is to stabilize them and transfer them. And unfortunately right now, with the way that staffing is in healthcare, we as an organization are struggling being able to get some of these patients transferred to these bigger facilities. We know that as we call Fargo, that as we call Minot, as we call Bismarck, a lot of times all those facilities are full or they don't have the staff to take some of those patients. So we're shipping patients to different locations. Sometimes they're going to Billings, sometimes they're going to South Dakota, sometimes they're going to the Twin Cities. We've even shipped 1 or 2 patients to Kalispell, Montana. So we are doing the very best we can to find the closest major hospital that provides those services that that individual needs. And we understand the burden it puts on some of these families, because once we get them there, it's not like the helicopter goes, oh, we'll be back tomorrow and pick them up, right? They have to figure out a way to get home once everything's done. Not only that, but if your family member's in the hospital out there in Billings, Montana due to a stroke, most of us want to be with them, right? And that's a 6.5, 7 hour drive. And we understand the burden it puts, but we are doing the best we can to get them as close as possible, but also trying to get the medical needs they have right away fulfilled as fast as possible. So it does put us in a predicament. We are working with the bigger hospitals to work on a solution to this. But prior to the pandemic, healthcare was in a precarious situation with staffing. Since the pandemic, we're noticing it's now, I won't say total crisis mode, but we are very, very tightly staffed, more so than we ever have been that I've been aware of in the last 20 years. So if you hear something, please be aware we're doing the best we can, but we are not specialists in neurology or cardiology, and we're doing the best to get them to the closest facility that will accept their care. So something else is, you'll probably hear more about it, but Secaucus Medical Center, Coal Country, Knife River Care Center, and Custer Health, which is a public health department for out here, we are going in together to write for a grant that will allow us to continue some collaboration that will provide us some opportunities to expand some of our collaborative systems. So we're hoping that grant comes in. We'll find out in January. It is a 4-year grant, and it's worth about $1.2 million. So if we do get it, it'll allow us to do some things as a collaborative that we wouldn't be able to do without it. So, and that's just adding additional technology and stuff for all of us to utilize together. So that's kind of an update from us. Do you have any questions? I went through it quickly. I don't want to sit here and take 4 hours of your time. I can though if you want me to. So what questions do you guys have for us? Anything that you guys want to know about? Dan's silent, which is amazing. So that's all I have. So if there's anything else, please, and if you ever need anything, please feel free to give me a call. I am at the hospital. All right. Thank you guys.
Thanks, Brian. Okay, the next thing we have on the agenda this evening is our CBB preliminary budget discussion for 2023. We've got Carla Log here tonight to go over that with us.
No, it's Antoinette.
No.
I'm better than her. No, just kidding. I'm kidding. Yes.
Sorry about that.
Carla presented, she's our treasurer along with Buster, so I am very fortunate to have a wonderful board of directors for Convention Visitors Bureau and of course Chamber of Commerce. So you can see if there's any questions about any of the categories or expenses, feel free to ask. It's pretty self-explanatory. Sport shows would be like your vendor shows in Minot and Bismarck, where we have a booth set up to promote Hazen, and people are looking for a boat. Why not just stop by at Hazen's booth and check out what we have to offer? So those are always a great way to promote what we have here, not in just Hazen, but Mercer County as a whole. Promotional items would be our little trash and trinkets that we hand out. The koozies, my favorite, the lip balm, the whatever. people like freebies, and so that's always a fun thing to have. And it has our logo on it, and the banner expenses, those would be our military banners. We do not make a profit off of those. If anything, we lose, but it's all for a good cause. Thank goodness for Promised Land Design, because they sew the little ends that end up ripping for us. So I'm trying to think what else. Professional development, the Knife River Foundation, we do give money to them, and the Mercer County Historical Society. Our mission is not to do events, but to help promote. So you can see too where there's group assistance. If we've given to Chalk Fest, we've also have given for the band for Harvest Fest. And then with our reserve, we have purchased the tables and chairs along Main Street, tables and chairs out of the golf course. So we give back to the community, and that's because of the 1% tax. So we just thought we would present this to you and see what 23 has in store for us. So some ideas we do have, be great to get an SR-71 replica somehow, whether it's metal or not. We just haven't quite decided that. And would love to have Rita the Fleischkittler back here in Mercer County, because we are known for Fleischkittler. So just something that brands. One thing I've learned in the last 5 years is a community needs to be branded somehow. And yes, we are Hazen Bison, but we also are known for other things, whether it's, of course, we are known to the man's fastest, the fastest man in the air. So I would love to keep something going with that. So there are some ideas in the back of our minds, and feel free to contact myself. The president is Dan Fry. Vice president is you? You're vice president now?
Yeah, because of the, somebody stepped down, remember?
Oh, that's right, Doreen, yeah. Yes, so he's vice president / treasurer, and then the secretary is Angie Lights here at the city. So thank you, city, for allowing her to attend meetings and trainings and whatnot. And Carla's our treasurer. Carla's a veteran. She knows her stuff. So any questions, comments? Good. No, really, if you have any, just let
Just informational tonight, no actions on
No,
this.
yeah, it's just for your information, being, we receive sales tax, we want to make sure that we're being, representing our community in a good way, which I think we are.
Very good, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yes.
I'm not as professional as Brian here today.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, the next thing we have on the agenda this evening is our second reading for our super. A little bit of background there, we wanted to make some modifications to this particular ordinance to help that off. Like high number of overdue bills with our water, and then also free up some of our resources for the replacement or disconnecting and reconnecting of water meters which are owned by the citizens. So Monty is putting that up on the board right now. The sections in red are the modifications. We went through the first readings without any additional modifications. So I'd be looking for the board tonight if there are any additional changes, and if not, then I'd be looking for a motion to approve the second reading.
So,
Okay, we got a motion by Weaver,
Second?
by Stern. Any additional conversation, questions?
So then I guess there's all this language is then all the same as the last meeting, right? There's no changes?
Correct.
Okay,
No additional changes.
all right.
Any other questions? Hearing none, roll call.
Weidrich.
Aye.
Stern.
Aye.
Keller.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, thank you. Now, with the second reading complete, Monty, does that put it into the print then?
Yeah, once it's published, the changes are published, then it becomes effective unless you wanted to just set a date, January 1 it's effective, however you want to handle that.
I guess as far as I'm concerned, once we process it through and stuff, we can go ahead and make it active. We may want to put something on our Facebook page or something just to draw attention to it as well. My man will have something in his write-up in the paper, so.
Okay,
We
yep,
will remember what's going on.
yeah, it'll be effective upon publication.
Thank you. All right, the next thing we have are some applications and building permits. The first is an application for Renaissance Zone from BNS Springer. I think Monty's got some documentation on this. This is residential.
That is correct. Actually, Mr. Langowski has the information from the Renaissance Board.
So basically what, just a little bit of a refresher, we have 23 blocks in our city that are considered Renaissance Zone. And the largest share of the blocks are going up and down Main Street and then out west. Well, we have a party that was in Block 5, which is just down from the bank, okay? And they were in the zone, and they're looking to sell their house, okay? So the thing about that is that being they are in the zone, then they would be eligible, the new folks who are moving into their home are eligible then for a tax abatement, a 5-year tax abatement on their property tax at 10% of the value of that. And then in addition to that, they also then would be eligible for income tax abatement from the state. And basically what I did in the application is we estimated, based on the value of the property, that they would save approximately $1,100 in that 5-year time frame on real estate tax. And then, of course, in terms of the income tax, which would be money that, of course, they would be saving as well, we estimated that at about $5,000. And so basically what we need to do is we need to have, I would request that the city approve the application, because the application does need to be approved before they close on the home. And that's going to be coming up shortly, okay, in terms of the closing. And I will say this, it's a family that has moved from Colorado. They have 3 young kids that'll eventually be going to school here. And so that's great, in terms of that, because the school district will like that, because, they get foundation aid on those kids about, I think it's probably, well, back when I was there, it was probably about 10 grand a student. So I'm not sure what the going rate now is, but it would be great. So what I would ask is, my Renaissance Board has already approved the application, okay? We met the other day, we approved the application, and so, but we need final approval from the city, because you are the overseers of, the final applications. So
then all this is just that it's a sale on the home?
Yep, it's for it. Well, they can take advantage of it because they're moving into a home that was previously in the zone. Okay, that is in the zone, excuse me.
Yeah.
And that party never took advantage of the Renaissance opportunity. And so, and one thing that I will mention is this, because it had a former occupant in it, our bylaws indicate that they will get a 10% reduction on real estate tax. On new homes, you could go up to 100%. So there's the difference, okay? The income tax, that stays the same in terms of, that of course is based on whatever the individuals make in terms of where things are at. But, and typically we like to go for, for 5 years with that. That's part of our original document in terms of when that was put in place. So.
And then two, I guess, all this is just, I guess, a one-time, I guess, like lifetime deal on that, I guess, property, right?
That's exactly right. And the thing is, you can only use the benefit one time around. Now, the other thing that could happen is let's say that 2 years into it, they decide to sell, the remaining 3 years could follow the new property owner. But the likelihood of that happening is, well, I don't know, but I haven't seen that happen. But yeah, basically, yeah, one time and that's it. Once it's used, it's done. Yeah. Good question.
Well, I know on this program, the way that I always, I guess, view it, is to tear down, like old stuff and to build it, new and better, not just to, say, hey, just buy my house here to get,
Well, I think the other angle is this though, is to look at it from the standpoint, for instance, if you're looking, and we're not looking new, but if you're looking new, to incentivize someone to get into a new property, because in the long haul, we know what that'll do to the city coffers, in terms of where that's at. But yeah, in this particular case, and the other thing about it, in this particular case, because it was preoccupied, the 10% is, it's fairly limited over the 5-year period. I estimated over the 5-year period that they'd save about $1,100. So what is that? A little over $200 a year, something like that. Yeah, so.
Okay, wishes of the board.
I'll make a motion to approve the Renaissance Zone application.
Okay, motion by Weidrich,
second.
second by Stern. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Weider,
Aye.
Stern,
No,
Pillar.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, the next permit we have is a moving permit to relocate I believe it's a trailer home into the city limits here by Mr. Saylor. We've got documentation on it.
Yes, Mr. Saylor provided photos of the mobile home that will be moved from Garrison. I don't have interior photos of this mobile home, but it is a fairly new one, 2011, 16 by 80. And this will be moved into the West Side Rentals location, southwest part of town. My map's a little sideways.
Mike, I think that you had mentioned that this is going in place of where there had been one prior.
That is correct. And why isn't it showing it? Yeah. It's hiding behind my little thing here. It's down. It's down here where this trailer was removed.
Down by the Public Works building.
Yeah, down by the Parks and Rec shop.
And you also had pictures of the trailer itself, Monty?
Yes, I do. These are the pictures that Mr. Saylor provided. And obviously, when it comes in, we will have our city building inspector take a look at this property as well, if it's approved to come in.
Okay. Okay, wishes of the board.
So I move to approve.
Motion by Stern,
Second.
second by Weidrich. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Stern,
Aye.
Weidrich,
Aye.
Pillar.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Now we'll move into the reports for this evening. Water, sewer, and garbage. We talked about our water, the transfer over to the new system. I've been hearing a number of reports from citizens who have achieved higher water pressures in their homes. So that certainly was part of what we were endeavoring to do with a water storage facility. And hopefully we've gotten through the bulk of our leaks. It was evident that all of the leaks that we did find were probably right there at the edge of where they would have taken off at some time, maybe unexpected. So maybe the fact that we captured these before it got too terribly cold up there is a positive thing. And I encourage everyone to communicate with neighbors and everybody out there to keep a watch out for not just on streets and distribution lines and stuff like that, but lines coming into homes. I have heard a couple of reports maybe on water heaters and stuff like that in residents' homes. Just kind of keep eyes and ears open and make sure that communication comes back to City Hall. That's all I have for this evening. So, street cemetery, we don't have tonight. Finance, busing, library, Casey?
I don't have anything at this time. Thank you.
All right. And Cody on police, fire, forestry, anything this evening?
I don't have anything either.
Okay, Buster, it's up to you, buddy.
All right, back up.
Could have just sat up here.
Okay, so the first thing is, talk a little bit about Partners in Planning Grant. We scheduled our community forum. That has been scheduled for December 7th at 6:30 here in the small city hall. I believe either it'll be in the small city hall or in here. And we'll offer some light appetizers and some of that for that. And we'll have a press release that's going out reasonably soon. So hopefully we can get, I thought maybe it was going to be kind of a big, like lots of people, but our advisor is suggesting 12 to 14. So I would, if somebody from the commission is interested in coming to that would be wonderful, I think, because as I mentioned previously, we've had the student one, we've had the business forum, and now this would be the community forum, okay? So that's on the 7th at 6:30. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, just give you a little bit of an update. When we had our Renaissance Zone meeting the other day, we also talked about updating our plan in terms of where things are at. We presently have 23 blocks in our zone, and there was some legislation that was passed a while ago that would allow us to go to 34 blocks. So we're going to look at possibly expanding our zone, removing some of the blocks of businesses that have already taken advantage of the zone that we no longer know that can happen, because there's a number of businesses, for instance, on Main Street that took advantage of the Renaissance opportunity years ago and add new blocks. Now, the other part of it is one of the things is you can have it used to be contiguous. You used to have it contiguous. Now you can have a 3-block break in the system and add blocks. So we're going to look at that, because what we'd like to do is we'd like to probably go up, is it 7th to Senex?
7th Street.
Yep, up that way, and then possibly cut across and go over. Fourth Avenue, excuse me, yeah. So, I mean, that's one of the things we're talking about. We're going to study that a little bit more and see where things are at. So you'll be hearing more about that. Realize, of course, that in order for that to happen, that all has to come back to you guys for approval. And previous to that, we would need to seek approval from the school district, and then also seek approval from the county commissioners for that, similar to what we did 5 years ago when we updated our plan. So the only other thing that I have is that I know Jerry and I are planning to attend the Basin Electric annual meeting, which will be coming up next week in Bismarck. Questions?
Is
All
there
right.
an annual meeting, I guess, like this week?
Or
It's this week, Wednesday.
you know, it is. It is this week, excuse me. Right, it is. I missed it.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Not good, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lester.
Yep.
And President's report, nothing this evening. So we're going to continue on into the old business. The first thing is the Public Works Maintenance Software. Monty had expressed some information on that last week, and they were going to look at it a little bit more. Monty, I'll just turn it over to you to share.
Okay, I did try to put a few screenshots in your packet of what we're using now, the Maintain X, as we're using as a trial, and some of the reports that we can print. I don't know if they turned out very well in the email or not, but and then, like I say, these are basically all very similar programs. The only difference is going to be cost among these, so I did break them down. The Mobile 311, which we currently use, I just got the invoice for, and that is $4,468 a year. The other one that I reviewed with Public Works Director Brousseau was the eQuips program. That is $3,600 per year. And then this Maintain X with 6 dedicated users is $2,340 a year. So I guess at this point, I would kind of recommend doing away with the Mobile 311. It never did do some of the things that we were hoping it would do, or we didn't utilize them. So it's kind of a lot of cost for a program we're not utilizing to its full extent. And even if we were, it doesn't do a lot more than the Maintain X program as far as tracking preventative maintenance and issues that come up. So I'll leave it at that.
All right. Wishes of the board, you want to act on Monty's recommendation, save the city some money?
So then on the Maintain X, wasn't that free?
We have
Free till the end of the year or
Yeah.
something, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and basically the trial would still run through, I think it's the 13th of January,
Oh.
but they would finish building it to our specifications now even before the first of the year, and then only invoice it after the first of the year.
Okay. So I guess I move to approve, I guess, Maintain X.
Okay, motion by Stern,
Second.
second by Weidrich. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Stern,
Aye.
Weidrich,
Aye.
Pillar.
Aye. Motion carries.
So now with that, do we have to make another motion to stop
Second thing we
the
have is
amendment?
the
I'll just
permitting
send them a letter.
and code enforcement software.
Okay,
And I'll
again,
let you comment on that, Monty.
okay. Again, this is basically different software. I did go over to Beulah, visited with their city planner they purchased this software in April. It is a good software. It has a lot of options that I wouldn't see me using, to be perfectly honest, because there's a million different ways you can track these permits and everything. So I guess I've kind of backed off on it a little bit. The code enforcement would be nice, but I've already created PDF forms that I just fill and mail. So there again. We would have an option if you wanted to go trying to track the permits and do a better job of the inspections and tracking inspections and those things. Black Mountain Software, as I said last meeting, does offer a permitting program which integrates with all of our other accounting and utility billing at a cost of $1,596 per year just for that program, compared to the iWork program at $2,400 a year. And then eventually, if we wanted to, Black Mountain does offer the code enforcement as a separate package, but then again, that's an additional cost above what this is. So I guess at this point, I'm wide open. We don't really need to do it. We don't issue permits as often as the city of Beulah. They issue permits for fences, shingles, siding, windows, where we consider most of that stuff just general maintenance and don't require a permit. I've issued 23 permits this year. Heidi in Beulah has done over 200. So
Monty, if we have concerns on how we do it as a city here, just in terms of keeping track of the activities that we do, is there an opportunity to sit down and maybe hash through how we do things and how we might be able to do them more efficiently without software?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, basically right now when I issue a permit, it just goes into a spreadsheet and we track it through there. Then when I get the parcels back from the county, I make the updates for the values and changes and those types of things. So, I mean, we do have a process now. It's not like we need to spend money.
Okay. All right, I guess my feeling is we go ahead and we just leave this, push this off to the side. I think due diligence was done on reviewing it to see what offerings it would help the city with. And as Monty had indicated, Beulah does a little bit more permitting than Hazen does. They break it down into some of the smaller categories of projects. So I don't know if we have to do any action at all on this. If we don't do any action, I guess we just move on to the next old business. Is that correct, Monty?
Yeah, basically, unless you wanted to just do a motion.
Any comment from you two guys? Any thoughts on this?
Nope, nothing else the way it's looking.
Okay, let's move on then to our transit van repair estimates. The ever elusive problems with this van that seemingly nobody can figure out exactly what it is. You wanna maybe just share a little bit of detail on that, Monty, and then we can make a decision how we wanna move forward with this.
I can. Initially, it was talk that it was either the AC compressor, something in the cam, or just needed an entire engine replacement. So we had estimates way back when. We did go ahead and do the AC compressor thing after two of the shops said, well, that will likely do it. And then it didn't. They're still experiencing issues, so now it was discussed that it could be just as something to do with the lifters themselves, or it could still have to do with something internal in the engine otherwise. In visiting with Hazen Motors, they had it up on the hoist. They thought it was a deeper, lower engine noise, not a lifter noise. So there again, if we're looking at any of that other stuff for the deeper engine, you're looking at anywhere from $3,000 to $8,000 on a 2014 van with 130,000 miles. The next question is, how much do you want to stick into this? Or do you just say that's enough and we sell it as is? It's reached useful life as far as federal transit is concerned. And start the process to get a replacement. Because we could request funds. The new grant round is, the applications are due the end of December and then they're awarded in May.
I guess at the last meeting, I said we talked about the van. I thought that we weren't going to do, I guess, not going to do any kind of extra work to it.
They talked about the fact that they shouldn't be driving it. Well, it was discussed among the different shops that they shouldn't be driving it the way it is. So that's when they recommended the AC compressor. And since it was under 1,000, we decided to go ahead and try it and see if it would do the trick, and it didn't.
But I mean, like, even at that, I would think that a shop would be like, you just have to slip off the drive belt and just see once it makes noise anymore, you know?
So when I talked to Kim about this, the compressor was definitely bad. When you kicked it in, it made a lot of noise. That, no matter what, was an issue. But he didn't think it was the engine issue at all, because you turn off the compressor and it wouldn't go away. He thinks it's something like a crank bearing. He doesn't think it's a rod bearing. It sounds too solid to be a rod bearing, from what he told me. He said it's got good oil pressure. It might run a long time that way. Yeah. He even recommended to me to probably just run it just locally.
Keep it in town.
Yeah, keep it in town and just keep using it. See if
That
it
was the
works.
discussion we had in our last meeting, is that we were gonna just go ahead and run it around town, don't take it out of town, and if it dies, it dies.
Okay.
So I don't know if we want to change our tune at all. I think this is a lot of money for something that probably isn't worth putting that kind of money into, but the replacement is gonna cost also, so. Wishes to the board.
I would say, I guess, leave it alone, just drive it, I guess, as is.
I feel the same way.
Okay. Don't spend any more money other than gas.
That's enough.
All right, then we'll move on to new business. We've got the 2023 Grant Finder Program. And I guess when I saw your notes, Monty, it sounded like we've already got somewhat of a resource that feeds us information on the various grants that become available.
This is the program we have been using for the last several years, offered through the League of Cities.
Okay,
Well, our subscription is $80 for the year. Basically, I get emails, 3 to 4 different emails per day with different grant opportunities. I've broken it down into infrastructure, police department, library, and public works. So every day I get an email saying what's coming up under each of those categories. And then if there's something that looks like it fits, we go out and apply for them. Unfortunately, the only one that I'm aware of that got that, and I'm not positive, but I believe the library did get one of the grants off one of the Grant Finder programs, so.
Do you watch for the fire department too?
They kind of come under the same as the police department. Most of those are like EMS type situations. But I can create a different query just for
but an
fire.
annual fee of $80,
Yes,
and we may hit the jackpot one of these days on one of those groups.
we sure hope so.
Seems like a relatively small expense for possibly a very substantial upside to it. So we've just been addressing this annually in the past and renewing it, correct, Monty?
That is correct.
All right. Am I hearing a motion from anybody?
So moved.
Second.
Second by Weidrich. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Do we need to roll call on this here?
Yes, there
Ready,
is an expenditure on it, so yes, we will.
Okay, roll call then.
Stern,
Aye.
Weidrich,
Aye.
Pillar.
Aye. Okay, motion carries on that. And under new business, we have some additional discussion, 2023 Random Drug Testing Program. And again, this seems very familiar, so this year, I'm assuming Monty is just an update now going into 2023 for something that we had been doing in 2022.
Again, this is a program that's offered through the North Dakota League of Cities. We've been involved with it since it started in 2019. We pay $70 per safety-sensitive employee. They do all of the random draws and keep all of the records required for our different departments, FMCSA, transit, all of those. So that we're in compliance.
All right, wishes of the board.
So moved.
Second.
Karen?
Motion by Weidrich, second by Stern.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call.
Weidrich.
Aye.
Stern.
Aye.
Pillar.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. Now we come to that part of our meeting where we open up the floor for public comments. I don't know if we have any visitors this evening that would like to share their story, their concerns, their accolades for members of city council.
No one present, Dan.
All right. With that then, we complete the meeting tonight with our approval of the bills. There were some additional bills sent out today, some of which were the bills for the repairs of the water main breaks. They were added in there as well. So. Everybody get an opportunity to see those?
Move to approve the bills.
Okay, we got a motion
Second.
and a second. Any further discussion? All right, roll call.
Stern.
Aye.
Weidrich.
Aye.
Pillar.
Aye. Motion carries, bills can get paid, and meeting adjourned. Thanks, everyone.